Hello. So, wearing my Terminator glasses tonight because it's May, and I'd like to block out the blue light so I can get me some sleep. A bit wonky though, aren't they? Anyway, talk about baseline and sensitivity, and the whole treadmill of life. Every person at any given time has this kind of baseline level of, like, this is your kind of, I'm feeling okay. This can change over time. Because we humans, we only perceive things relatively. Which is to say, we only notice things, or we remark on them if they change. So, say for the next few days, I sleep for 5 hours a night, which is less than usual. I'll feel sleep deprived, tired, yada yada. But if I continue to sleep 5 hours a night, over the course of the next few months, that would become my new baseline. So I wouldn't feel sleep deprived as such. And this has been confirmed in studies that people who habitually sleep around 5 hours a night, they don't feel like they are necessarily tired. However, they do perform a lot worse on various tests in relation to performance and mood. So that is to say, there's some kind of objective way in which they are worse due to their baseline being lower, but on a subjective level they don't really notice it. Now, of course, that doesn't just apply to sleep, but everything: food, exercise, for example. I'm pretty active at exercise. If I go to the gym maybe twice a week and do nothing else, I feel like shit. Whereas someone who never exercises, they go to the gym twice in a week, might feel great. So there's this element of like a treadmill, which is to say, here's your baseline. Say you improve your health or whatever, you climb higher. You notice that gap originally at first, and that's like, oh, cool, you feel healthier. But then you gradually forget that gap as you maintain this new higher level of health. And so you are just normal again. You feel just normal again. And this can be somewhat frustrating. Because when you fantasize about your healthier self, when you say, maybe if I just do that little bit more meditation, or that little, eat that little better, or whatever, then I'll be happy and healthy. And this is true at some degree on an objective level, and you will be operating, functioning better. But at a subjective level, there's not going to be a time when you're going to be like, okay, I'm feeling like healthy and great every day. For me, someone who is, I suppose you could say, I'm a bit of a health or mind nut, someone who, really looks after themselves. I've noticed again and again and again that my baseline improves, and then I just, a day where I sleep, say, 7 hours and have a coffee, that'll really knock me off the next day. Whereas, actually, for someone who's usually sleeps 5 hours and is boozing every night, they'd feel fantastic. So in some ways, it's almost like a curse to have a baseline which is kind of high. However, I think overall I'm willing to pay this price, because there is just in being healthier, there is just a general feeling of you are more sensitive to the world, which allows more kind of change to happen within you. And also, it's somewhat selfish to only seek subjective happiness or well-being or whateverness, because at an objective level, even though I may not be feeling better or healthier or whatever, I am performing better and I am more open. I am basically less of a dick to other people, and that is important. Creating better, more positive reverberations on the world around me. And one of the things I've noticed in myself as well, especially with work, is the habituation to being really stressed. I noticed in times in my previous job where I was working until really late, it's amazing how quickly you get used to this being in this hyper-stressed state the whole time. It becomes normal. This is really, really unhealthy. And it's in the same way, I think, in my current role, I've taken pretty good steps, I think, to stay pretty bulletproof against stress to some extent. But I mean, the reality of my job is that I'm working in a very demanding environment which really tries to stretch you. And I've become utterly used to that. And even, the people around me as well, the people who don't do any of the weird shit that I do, they've become really used to a much, much more intense, crazy baseline of adrenaline and cortisol, etc. It's always like we get a little addicted to our, internal cocktail of hormones, of stress hormones and patterns. Our baseline, right? It's almost like we feel we lose the stimulus for stress, and we find a way of stressing ourselves out. I've noticed this myself at work quite a lot, although less and less as time has gone on. I suppose this baseline idea, on the flip side of being a little annoying and frustrating, it can help you be a little more serious with the present moment, in as much as when you know that when you improve your baseline and reach a sort of higher standard of functioning, that perception, the novelty of reaching that higher level will quickly wear off. I think as you realise that, you become a bit less excited about the future, which is, I think, a good thing in the sense that it allows you to more fully enjoy the present. I say this as if this is something that I live by, but of course it's not. I am as guilty as anyone of looking at my current predicament and thinking, if only if I were to do this and that would solve all my problems and make them go away forever. And it's hilarious how deeply at a sort of not deeply, but how at a superficial intellectual level I've really drunk in the ideas of what I've been saying for these last 9 minutes, and yet over and over again in my mind I'm still thinking about, what if I do that and I do that will make me better. I suppose such is the human mind. Always wanting to be better. Although not always. I would say, a genuine hand on heart, that the idea that the future is going to be so much better than now has shrunk somewhat in me. I'm more happy with where I am now. God, I'm really finding with these videos over time that I think I'm getting better at them. Quite happy with this. The words are falling out of my mouth more fluidly, feeling a little more articulate, able to talk for a while without much hesitation. Good on me. I mean, especially when, at the moment I kind of feel like shit. Which is interesting. Because I kind of feel like crap, and yet I've been able to be, I'm at an objective level, like, I'm functioning pretty well today. Yeah, so let's just keep raising that baseline. Nice.